Hello, and welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Jameelah, and I'm a master manifester. And I'm sure you are too because you're watching content like this. Don't mind me pulling on these plaits. I kind of put a scrunchie on them and they folding in a little bit. Um, got all this. Mama said, what you gonna do with all that hair? I don't know. It's a lot of hair. I don't think people think about that when they start growing locks. They're like, oh, they're so cute, but they don't think about that. They just keep on going. Nonetheless. Um, I know you're a master manifester because you're watching content like this. The name of this channel is Manifesting Magic the Practical Way. Because right now in my life, I'm doing a lot of practicalities. Way more practicalities than I thought I'd ever do. But I'm doing a lot of them, right? Um, what I'm discussing now is something that may be touchy to a lot of people, but I don't care because people are always offended by something. And my thoughts is when people are super offended by something, that means it's touching a nerve. Whenever I get super offended by something, it's when it's touching a nerve. Um, yeah. And it could be touching a nerve for not even the reason that the person think it is. They think just bringing it up is it's like it's touching a nerve because I remember being in a similar situation where I felt like I had to explain myself all the time, and I don't like explaining myself. And so it's kind of like one of those things where it's like it may be getting your attention for a good reason, right? Being triggered is a good thing because you can outgrow some stuff when you're triggered. Either you outgrow the opinions of others or either you outgrow whatever you're trying to hold on to if those opinions were probably right or something like that, right? So nonetheless, what I'm talking about today is that exact topic. It's taking information and advice from people who do not have what you want and who do not see what you can see and who are not going where you're going. Why are you listening to them? Man, I hear this so much, right? I was watching a David Goggins video this morning. I love him because I think he's over the top, right? And I like over the top people because it just makes me remember, don't push that hard. But if you want to, it's all good. Go do it. Go do it. Go do it. But I'm like, he was just talking about how people will push their weaknesses onto you and you don't even know that's what's happening. You think that they're sharing with you some cautious information about taking care of yourself and doing good for yourself. And, just something that like, oh, let me let them know this because maybe they don't have anyone telling them this. It might not work out this way or whatever. And you take it from that perspective. When really what he was saying is that people are doing is just broadcasting or projecting their weaknesses or their mindset onto you, right? Because sometimes people come to you with things that's never even crossed your mind. And sometimes it's good that it's never crossed your mind and sometimes it's not. That's why I never sit and listen to people and throw out that. I've never done that. And the biggest reason why is because, first of all, I don't know what they're trying to create. And second of all, I don't know all the story. I don't have all the information, right? So that's a red flag for you. Whenever you run into people who are trying to tell you what's going to work in your life and what won't, or what you can create and what you can't and all this kind of stuff, you definitely want to make sure that you look directly at that person and see who they are and what they've been doing with their life and whether or not they even are qualified to give you the advice. And 99% of the time, it's just not true. And some people think this is so awful. I remember growing up saying this when I was like 16 years old. To one of my siblings, can't remember who it was, but they were just so flabbergasted because I'm the youngest. And I said, well, to me, I wouldn't take advice from anybody who's not doing what I want to do and who's not going or at where I'm trying to go. And they were like, oh, no. How can you? People have something to offer. And I said, I didn't say they didn't have anything to offer. I didn't say they didn't have anything to share. I didn't say we couldn't even have a great conversation about where I was trying to go in my life. But what I said was, I'm not taking strict and direct directions or information or guidance from someone who's not going in a direction where I'm going. And that's okay. Nobody should even want you to take their advice if they're not where you want to be or not going where you're going. You know what I mean? It's like, what is the arrogance in a person who wants you to take their advice and they haven't even seen what they're trying to hold you back from seeing? It's very interesting. So get in a headspace to where you understand that most people that you run into are operating in some type of fear or scarcity mindset. They don't know it. They don't believe it. Because sometimes people have money. Sometimes they have a good career. Sometimes they have degrees. Sometimes they have a nice house. They have a nice car. So you're just like, well, they can't be in scarcity mindset. That's the majority of the people that are in scarcity mindset. Some people who have less need to be in more scarcity mindset. But that's the people, because they feel like they've attained something and they're so afraid to lose whatever they've attained. But what they truly don't understand is that it's not about the stuff. That the only reason why the stuff is in their life right now is because of them, is because of their frequency, is because of their level of belief, and it's because their level of hope and their level of development and evolution. The stuff belongs to the world, and it collects in your space when you are on the right frequency and when you're charging into a right direction, and the universe just says, okay, here you go, here you go, here you go, right? But I think the biggest mistake that we can make is thinking that our abundance and our advancement is based on the environments that we are attached to, and they're not. I have watched myself walk out of so many environments where people thought that it was such a prestigious level and that I should be, kissing the toes of the people I was working there with. I'm like, they're good. They were smart people. I enjoyed them. It was a very fun time. But nobody's God. I'm not going to treat anybody's word as if they're like that. If I'm ready to move on, I'm ready to move on. I was told by my previous person that I worked with, I always say work with, you work for them to some degree, but I work with people most of the time. The previous, and that's respectful, and I think that's how it should be everywhere. The previous person that I worked with, they were like, I was saying I was moving. He was like, you're going to give up your position that you have? Look at the title that you have. And I'm like, it has a very nice title. You're absolutely correct. And he was just like, you're engaged. You're not even married, right? And I was like, that's true. But nothing that he was talking about had anything to do with the reality of things. What he was talking about had to do with his reality, and it had to do with what he didn't see for himself, right? Because he's a person that lives in different states from his, significant other. So he was trying to figure out, why would you move around for a person that you're with now? And I was like, I don't know. I'm just going to try it and see what happens. And so that's kind of the mindset I have. And so I've heard these words so many times with people. I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do this. But look right at them and see what they have and where they're at and what they're working on and how they live and how they have lived. And while it's beautiful and abundant for them, would you want their life? Would you have wanted to do what they did in order to get to where they are? Would you have wanted to take those steps? Would you have wanted to create the career that they're in, have created the lifestyle that they're in? Would you have wanted that? And if the answer is no, then you got to be like, hey, let me pull back from this and think, what is it that I truly want to create, right? And if there's not people around me to show me how to create that because they have it already, then a lot of times we just have to shut up and we just have to be quiet. And we don't know how to do that, but we do have to be quiet. Because what you find yourself is explaining yourself over and over and over and over again. So my thing is, I've said this on several videos before, move in silence, let the work talk for itself, right? You don't need no accolades. You don't need nobody to notice you. You don't need nobody to tell you how great you are. You don't need nobody to read your books. You don't need you don't need nobody to buy your books. You don't need nobody to listen to your music. You don't need nobody to buy your music. You don't need none of that at all. What you need is to put your head down and do the work. I promise. It ain't about the other people. It ain't about their opinions. It ain't about the person that they see, that they want you to be, even though you're something that's a million times more than what they're trying to push you into sometimes. I've had this happen several times. I'm like, dude, I'm not that little thing you're trying to put in a little box. I'm a whole lot more than that. But I'll let you continue to believe I'm just this one thing. Just put your head down and do the work. Let it speak for itself. I have spent so much time in my life being on the wrong side of that argument. Being in places to where I was so frustrated. They don't see my worth. They don't see my value. They don't see my worth. They don't see my value. The truth of the matter was, I didn't see my worth and I didn't see my value. And if I had seen my worth and my value, I would have never been having the conversations in the first place. Why would anybody ever beg someone to pay attention to them? Why would anybody ever need to beg anybody to notice their greatness and to notice what they have and to see them for what they clearly are? Why would anybody ever need to do that? If you're doing that, then that means your self-worth is not where it's supposed to be. And the rejection of these other people out here in the world is exposing that. And you need it. You need to experience that So you can get right back to the place where you go, they don't have what I want. They're not headed where I'm headed. They don't see what I see. And you can go right back to the place of keep it to yourself. Keep it to yourself. And it's a shame that there's so many, we can't really get around that. But man, David Goggins' video was just so good because he was like, the biggest problem people have is other people. And I was like, man, people think that I just dislike people. I don't dislike people. I think people are amazing and beautiful. I enjoy them heavily. I watch them on YouTube all the time, videos, all kinds of stuff. I read amazing articles. I work with amazing people all the time. They have amazing life stories. Very, very cool. I just was talking to a girl at work who went to New Zealand by herself, first time traveling by herself ever in her life. And she went there for 2 weeks without any real plans. And I just thought that was cool. She had small children and everything. And I was just like, man, you needed that. I was so drawn to that type of energy because so many of us are stuck. And we're so stuck because we're so worried about other people. We're worried about what other people bring to the table, what other people are telling us, what they say we can do and what they say we can't do. When really, we just got to focus on our talents. We got to focus on our gifts. We need to put our head down and do the work. Do the internal work, get the peace, get the relaxation, get your mind where it needs to be every day, and just don't share. Sometimes we think everybody needs to have all parts of who we are, but that's not true. I sit at a desk every day to where I don't talk about 90% of who I am in this space, and I do an amazing job at everything. And reason being is because I realized this ain't the place to share that. So we think in our personal lives, well, that needs to be different. Everybody who knows me, oh, my siblings, my parents, everybody needs to be in love with my vision. No, don't even talk about it. If somebody wants to know about it, they want to hear about it, or they want to show you some respect about it and tell you that you're doing well or whatever, then let them do it. But just keep it to yourself. Keep it to yourself. If you're working on something, keep it to yourself. And some people have to do this in relationships. They have to do this in marriages. They have to do this with family, friendships. They have to do this with their children. It's fine because it's not even about them. It's about you, your connection to source, your connection to the creator, and your desire to see the magic unfold in your life. Make it about that. It's not about the other people. Have a wonderful, wonderful day.